What's up, A to Z Sports here live on a Thursday. Going to have an interesting show because the Titans are getting set to face the Bengals. So Brian Callahan and his old team. And it looks like, and if I were Brian Callahan, you would like for your Titans team to mirror what his Bengals did over the last few years, where he spent 5 years as the offensive coordinator under Bengals head coach Zach Taylor, who is coming to town with Joe Burrow, who is arguably an MVP candidate on a bad football team. But we're going to talk through a lot of what is this Bengals-Titans matchup, and can they Spider-Man meme each other as this era of Titans football gets deeper and deeper. Sam, welcome in. Going to have a good show on this. So we're going to do sports trivia today because Easton and I, in my opinion, got dealt another tough hand. So maybe you can be a difference maker if it's easier. It was a tough one. Like, I think the baseball question yesterday was like a 6% accuracy rate across the country.
You remember the question? I'll get it.
I don't even remember the answer at this point. It was like 23 hours ago. And no, I don't remember who the baseball. Oh, it was the no, I don't remember. It was maybe the Baltimore Orioles. Can't remember. Anyway, but we're going to go through another trivia round here at the end of the show. And so we're going to have a good conversation about fair foul between how we're judging Brian Callahan in his first year as Titans head coach compared to what Zach Taylor, his old boss, went through as a rookie head coach 5 years ago. Welcome in. Hope you're doing well. Hope you got some sleep last night. Let's get this thing off and rolling.
Yeah, let's do it here. It's a Thursday. Got to have a good show. Excited to talk a little Titans Bengals. Excited for our second conversation here when we talk about what Brian Callahan thinks of Joe Burrow and what you and I think about it, Austin, as we look at the league kind of zoomed out a little bit. Gonna look forward to that conversation. But before we get into everything this morning, make sure you guys watching at home share the show. Hit the share button in the bottom right corner if you're watching on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, take the YouTube link, send it to a friend, a group chat. Get the word out there that A to Z Sports is live. You can repost us on the Twitter X timeline as well to get it on the timeline for all of your followers. So get it back on the feed. That's the best way to support. And don't forget to leave a like as well. So share and like as we kick it off on a Thursday morning.
Yep, let's get going officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Sam Phelan, one of our Titans reporters for A to Z Sports.com, and we're Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. Got to thank our sponsors. They make it happen for us, and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. See them in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans, and do that by clicking our link, fbhp.com/ATOZ, and get yourself a health quote. And T-Dot, join T-Dot to make Tennessee less littered and find the solution to end littering across our state by visiting nobodytrashestennessee.com. So there's a lot of comments. Neil Walker and Garrett Jones led what team? That was the
question. Because I mean, the chat's already said the answer, but I think that's a beach ball question.
I don't know who any of those people are.
Neil Walker was famous for being a Pittsburgh kid that got drafted in the first round by his hometown Pirates. Garrett Jones, a Franklin, Tennessee native, was also a Pirate and a Yankee and plays softball in my league in Franklin all the time.
So you know Garrett Jones.
Garrett Jones was also like, I mean, they're both like 2-3-time All-Stars. Like, they both were good players in the league and known for being like a little bit of a dynamic duo on the infield for the Pirates.
Okay. So Pittsburgh Pirates was the answer. We did get that one right. Maybe. I don't know. We sucked. We got overall.
I think chat would have gotten it right.
The chat helped us. Absolutely. Easton and I did nothing for that trivia yesterday when it comes to Major League Baseball. But all right. So last night you did survive Final Four. It's the first Illinois Final Four since 2005. So congratulations.
Yep.
If you want to include the entire state. First Final Four for
when was
Illinois team in Loyola, Chicago.
When was Tennessee's last Final Four?
This upcoming year is what's going to be. Number one team in the country. So look,
I thought I had missed one somewhere along the way.
Hey, do not let Tennessee get in the way of a funny joke. Damn it, that was a good joke. That was
It was a
very
good
good.
joke.
Thank you.
I was like, "Oh, where's this going?" And then immediately was like, "Yeah, okay, I see where this is going."
Because that Illinois team was badass, and I loved watching those Fighting Illini back in 04-05. But yeah, first Final Four.
Get ready. We're getting a dose of it pretty soon here. Saturday, December 14th, Illinois,
That's
Tennessee.
right.
Number one, Tennessee.
Number one, Tennessee. That's damn right. All right, so we'll save the rest of that. But look, great episode last night. If you haven't watched it, go do it. One more. You got double finales. One more coming up next week. But let's flip it to the Titans, because I think we all, hindsight's 2020, but we all got really excited about this Titans team, right? Spent a bunch of money in the offseason. We liked what we saw from Levis in 9 games. You liked the resume of Brian Callahan, and now we're sitting here with his old team, the Cincinnati Bengals, coming to town. I think if we were doing this back in preseason mode, that week 15, the Bengals in Nashville, like, ooh, man, that could be a really interesting game. Maybe 2 teams fighting for playoff positioning, but that's not even close, because the Bengals have a terrible defense, even though Joe Burrow is having a phenomenal season, and the Titans are 3-10. And so it is not what we had hoped this December matchup would be, with old friends doing it again. It is, in fact, a 3-10 football team, and in a season for the Bengals where is Zach Taylor's job in jeopardy. That's a different conversation for a different audience, but that's something that's happening in Cincinnati. And so, Sam, kind of take me through what you expected this game to look like and what we're about to watch in reality.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. When we look at this schedule, and here, let me pull it up again real quick, the Titans' schedule for this season. This was the first game on the schedule that I had circled preseason as being maybe the deciding game for the Titans' fate. There was enough divisional games here, enough games against what I thought would be some bad teams with like Washington, New England, even Minnesota. I did not foresee the run that they've been on with Sam Darnold. I thought the Titans had a stretch of very winnable games in that middle portion of the season, but that the Bengals game in week 15 could potentially be where things swing, which obviously was fun when you think about Brian Callahan going up against his former squad and all of the familiarity that is there. Now, that is pretty much as far from reality as we could get, because I'm not sure the fan base has ever been more checked out for a game before than what we're currently getting between Brian Callahan and the Cincinnati Bengals. And it does kind of leave less intrigue in the results on the field. But Austin, I think this week as a whole, Bengals week, is building some sort of, I guess, mirror situation between what happened with the Bengals and what is happening with the Titans. And I think it's bringing a lot of those feelings to the surface for both Brian Callahan, for the media, for the fans. And as you start to look bigger picture, I think the Bengals are a constant reminder of what can happen, even though things look a little dire at the moment.
Absolutely. So we look at Zach Taylor's first season with the Bengals and Brian Callahan's ongoing first season, and not good, Bob. The Cincinnati Bengals in 2019 were atrocious. 2-14. They started 0-11 before winning a couple games in the last 6 weeks. And the Titans, we know, 3-10. We thought that there was a little bit of life coming through here with the win at the Houston Texans, and then laying eggs in DC, and then laying a big fat stinky egg at home against the Jags and losing 10-6. So if you're Brian Callahan, you would love for your coaching career and your Titans teams to mirror that of Zach Taylor's Bengals. And in order to do that, you look at a terrible year 1, building into year 2, and then bam, you arrive in year 3. Now, I don't think that mirroring is expecting that Brian Callahan and the Titans will make the Super Bowl in 2026. We're not saying that, because that would be an exact mirror job of the Bengals and Zach Taylor, but at least in the playoffs and ready to do some damage and be a threat in year 3, right? That would be ideal if that's how this would go for Brian Callahan.
Yeah, I mean, we talk a lot about the NFL nowadays being an impatient league and not having a ton of patience to see processes all the way through. I think that exists for head coaches the same way it exists for quarterbacks in a little bit. And, I do think I talked about this earlier this week, but if there's one thing Brian Callahan has going for him right now, it is recent examples in the NFL like Zach Taylor and Dan Campbell of guys who started off very rough and were able to turn it around. So there is a recent data point that he can point to for Amy Adams Strunk and say, here's what happens if you're patient, and here's what I would like it to look like and what I would like it to build to. Now, there's no guarantee that that's what it is. There's no guarantee he even gets that opportunity. And for every Zach Taylor and Dan Campbell that turn it around within the first 3 years and build a program, there's 5 guys that continue to stink at coaching football and, lose a bunch of games. So I think, we are at this point where Titans fans are feeling a little bit sketched out by Brian Callahan and his future and are not sure if they're all the way in, but we're going to kind of figure out over the next couple of months where Amy is in that process and what her level of commitment is to this growth and development of the program versus the impending desire that we all know she has for a winner with the new stadium coming.
Yep, no doubt, because Toff just says, so Levis is going to be Burrow. I just don't see it. No, it's not what anybody said. And M said, the Titans don't have Joe Burrow, and Yuri says you got to get a Burrow first. And so I think it is a very important clarification to look at and see that in 2019, the Bengals did not have Joe Burrow, right?
Right. But to be fair, right, I don't always believe that we can just say, well, need that elite of elite quarterback. And we'll get to Joe Burrow later on in the show specifically, and Brian Callahan referring to him as a potential NFL MVP favorite. Those guys don't grow on trees. The opportunity to get that guy doesn't come around very often. But I think Dan Campbell is another example of a guy who, like Jared Goff, is not Joe Burrow. Jared Goff is not this first. Well, he is quite literally a first overall pick, but he's not this. He's not this rookie that you draft with the first overall pick and have be this blue chip guy. He was kind of broken. He was going into his second team of his career. He was a veteran at this point. Even now, he's a top 10 quarterback without being a top 5 quarterback. And you're able to find a guy in Jared Goff and get the best football out of him to build a winner. Yeah. So you don't need the blue chipper in Joe Burrow in order to make this sort of transition happen. Now, you do need to get quarterback stability, and that's something that I think Brian Callahan is looking to get, whether it's with Will Levis or with somebody else over the next year. Yeah. Quarterback stability key, but I don't think that's the one missing ingredient that we're talking about here. Austin.
That's right. Yeah. You asked Brian Callahan about that missing ingredient between the Bengals and the Titans, and it's not Joe Burrow. It's Joe Burrow is not the missing ingredient. That might be the obvious, duh. It's the superstar quarterback, but that's not the missing ingredient. We'll get to that here in a second. I'll tell you guys real quickly about A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa in Franklin. AMomentsPeace.com/Christmas is where you can go. That could be the missing ingredient for your holiday gifting this season. It's a guaranteed win, a guaranteed dub, an easy way to get the woman or the love of your life, or mom or grandma or your aunt or whoever needs it. Maybe it's you. Maybe a little self-love this holiday season where you should go. Couples massage, great way to go for that, because you win and your love partner wins right there. AMomentsPeace.com/Christmas. AMomentsPeace.com/Christmas. Get a gift card, victory. That's it. As simple as that. Let them choose what they want to use it, whether it's a massage, manicure, pedicure combo, a day in the salon or the spa. They get you right there. AMomentsPeace.com/Christmas is where to go. Sam, you asked Brian Callahan about ownership. Take me through your thought process on why you asked the question, because it wasn't we didn't plan on you asking this question to have this conversation. It just kind of happened.
Well, it's very interesting because we had a conversation with Brian Callahan earlier this week on Monday about the pressure that he's feeling with his job security. Now sitting at 3-10, now in last place in the division, now laying an egg against the worst team in football in the Jacksonville Jaguars. Where is Brian Callahan's head at? Because coming into the year, we thought that this was a long-term solution. And even through some of the tribulations that we had at the beginning of the season, there was a sense of patience, a sense of, hey, relax, it's early, he's still figuring it out. And then we started to see the growth that we were promised, the growth that we had waited for. Will Levis started to look better. The offense started to find its stride. I started to get the feeling like the Titans were going to win 2, 3, 4 games down the stretch and come out looking okay. And they would build a lot of momentum for the 2025 season. That loss in Jacksonville had us all questioning that. And it leaves me questioning that still, whether or not we will see more growth, whether or not we will see another win this year, which I still think is not guaranteed if you can't beat the Jags at home to beat Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Houston. Like, I don't know. And so we asked Brian Callahan about this idea that, hey, I know that you're building something, and he's remained very steadfast in his idea of building for the grand scheme of things, building for this long-term future, having a vision for what he wants the organization to look like, and knowing that it won't get there in 1 year. But also we have to understand that the NFL is not patient. It, like, these instances that we talk about of coaches getting 2, 3, 4 years to build something, quarterbacks getting 2, 3, 4 years to get, become the franchise guy. That's rare. And I guess it makes me curious how Brian Callahan was gifted an opportunity in Cincinnati, because Bengals ownership was more patient than they should have been, probably, with Zach Taylor and his coaching staff. After 2-14, there was another really bad year immediately after it, and they stayed patient once again. 4-12-1 or
4-11-1.
4-11-1. And they stuck with Zach Taylor once again. And Zach Taylor didn't create a fall guy. He didn't try and save his job by casting out his offensive coordinator. He didn't burn Brian Callahan in the process. And because of that, the Bengals go to the Super Bowl. They start having sustained success. Brian Callahan lands a head coaching job in the NFL as a result of it. And he wouldn't be there without Zach Taylor and without Bengals ownership. It started to get my wheels turning on how that experience for Brian Callahan informs how he behaves as a Titans head coach, in the patience that he expects from ownership to have with him, and in the patience he tries to give a quarterback or a coach on his staff, in trusting, hey, remember when Zach Taylor had all the pressure in the world to move on from me and didn't, and we were able to make it work.
All right, here's Brian Callahan talking about the patience from Bengals ownership prior.
Yeah, I mean, situations are all different, but there is some similarities and some parallels anytime you're starting a program in your first year. And I draw on a lot of those experiences. It's hard to say that they're going to mirror each other in any way, shape, or form, but there is a lot of lessons I learned in that first year in particular that I still use daily here. And I don't want to draw too many comparisons, because we're just sort of starting out, and that program's 6 years along at this point. So, but there's a lot of lessons I learned, a lot of things I draw upon from that early part of that.
What's one of those lessons?
When things get challenging during the season and you're not winning games, there's a lot of things you have to do as a coach to continue to build what you expect it to look like and what it's supposed to look like moving forward. And the focus is always on that, is trying to build what you want the team to look like, practice like, play like, interact in the building. All those things are sort of constantly at the forefront of my mind. And that's one of the things that I thought Zach did such a fantastic job of in that first year at Cincinnati, is being able to maintain the composure and the drive to keep getting better in the midst of a challenging season.
So not the question I asked. We had a little bit of issues with the videos today, but regardless, I do think I can pull up a transcript of what
I think it worked, though. It was still applicable.
Yeah. So this was Brian Callahan's quote when I asked him on the patience the Bengals had with him and Zach Taylor had with him, and how that applies to building his program in Tennessee. He says, oh, wait, hang on. No, that was not it. Interesting. I understand why Easton got it turned around, because my question did not come till later. He says, I think that Mr. Brown has such a great feel for football, and he sees a lot of the things that happen behind closed doors. Mr. Mike Brown, of course, being Bengals ownership. The one thing that is great about how they operate there is that they're always around and they see and converse, and they're sort of involved in the daily process and have a great feel for what's happening. So I think that makes it a lot easier when you have that connection with the people that you're working with and you see progress, and maybe not everybody sees out in the world, and you believe in what's being coached and what's being taught and how the whole process is working. I think that allows him to have a very unique perspective. He's a naturally patient person. But again, patience only goes so far. Then you still got to produce at some point. Thankfully, that worked out for us and we were able to produce. But certainly he saw a lot of what was building and believed in it. And I'm really thankful for that. So he speaks a lot to this idea of having communication within your organization can breed patience in somebody, by like potentially, where a typical NFL owner who's a little bit more hands off, who's a little bit more in tune with the outside noise and listening to what the NFL world has to say, maybe is feeling the pressure of needing to move on. But Mike Brown, who is a patient guy, but also an open communicator and really behind the scenes at seeing what's being taught and coached within his building, is able to buy in to the process a little bit more and make that decision for himself. Now, I noticed Brian Callahan never said, I think we have that here with Amy Adams Strunk in Tennessee. So maybe they do, maybe they don't. But I think that, you know, to his point, that sort of open, collaborative communication about exactly what goes into the process is a big part of getting ownership to buy in despite results.
He has mentioned before this season that he talks with Amy Mondays, I want to say, each Monday throughout the year. Maybe it's a different day of the week, but early in the week, he talked about that collaboration word you used, a word that we heard so many freaking times over the offseason between this entire leadership group. And I think Amy's
that was the Vrabel group, though. It was Vrabel and Carthon. Vrabel and Carthon kept talking.
They used it this past year too.
Maybe. I don't know.
You're getting your offseason mixed up.
Well, the politics of this front office.
For sure.
In 1 year, out the other.
But look, Amy's around. Like, I've seen her throughout training camp. She's been at the stadiums during home games. You know, she's been around. She was in Houston, obviously, a few weeks ago. So I think there's she's not distant, but is she Mike Brown? Probably not. Like, I also think she's willing to spend more money than Mike Brown. Mike Brown's historically frugal. Amy has not been at all since taking over as controlling owner. So let's go ahead and ask this question. I think this is an interesting question. Is it fair or foul to judge Brian Callahan and Zach Taylor's first season as head coaches the same way? So once again, I'll put it up. Zach Taylor and the Bengals were 2-14 in 2019. Currently, the Titans under Callahan are 3-10. There was no Joe Burrow in Cincy. There's Will Levis here, and there's some other things that we can talk through, but fair or foul to judge those two guys' first seasons the same way, where patience was given and it did pay off, where patience was given and it worked out. So fair or foul on judging those two guys in their first year the same way. I'm going to tell you guys about something that's absolutely foul, and that is the litter across our state of Tennessee. It's holiday season, which means we are traveling more, which means when you guys hit the road to go see family or wherever you may be going this holiday season, you just drive through the interstate. You're like, damn, it is dirty out here. 88 million pieces of litter on our roadways across the state, and TDOT spends $23 million every year to help clean it up. So it's not a lack of effort. It's just a lack of everybody being on the same page and making sure that we can all be a part of the solution to end littering across the state. And that is where NobodyTrashesTennessee.com comes into play. There's different ways that you guys can help out, whether it's you and your kids trying to educate them on what their state is, what we can do, and what we can all do together. And that is by joining the campaign. NobodyTrashesTennessee.com. You can go take litter quizzes, save money on local tickets and events, or just learn how to make your community even better. They've got cleanups organized across the state in your community as well. NobodyTrashesTennessee.com.
Today's show powered by BetMGM. It's the sportsbook born in Vegas. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up with BetMGM. Get up to $1,500 back in the form of a bonus bet if your first bet misses. That's up to $1,500, whatever your first bet wager amount is on NFL, college football, college basketball. If you want to back the Illinois Fighting Illini at the State Farm Center against number 1 Tennessee, do it on BetMGM. And, I'm not sure you even need to worry about getting your money back because Illinois is going to win that basketball game.
We have tomorrow to talk about this too.
Bonus code ATOZ Sports on BetMGM, betmgm.com.
All right, fair or foul to judge Zach Taylor and Brian Callahan's first seasons as head coach the same way? Sam, I will send you the chat. I'm actually going to put up a YouTube poll here in a moment to see if we can get some percentage numbers and data on this, fair or foul. What are you seeing from the chat on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch?
Foul from Titans Kyle, foul from Eric, foul from Kaz, fair from Chef Ran because not good enough at QB.
Again, remember, first year, it was Andy Dalton.
Yep.
That's what we're talking about.
Saying fair, fair to judge it the same way.
Yes.
Fair from Richie, foul from Rooney, fair from Jay. Mario says foul, so does Karen, so does American Toff. Corey says fair. Bork says fair. Burning Devil says fair. Give it some time to work. We got fair from Darius. Jerry wanted to know Bengals quarterback. Andy Dalton. Foul from Sean King.
I think TJ Finley or JT Finley, whichever one. I don't know. I don't remember which one. What his first name is. He played 3 games.
Neither one of those guys are quarterbacks that played for the Bengals.
Are they is that an actor or a character?
I don't know.
In a show?
Finley?
Yeah.
I don't know. Ryan Finley's the only name.
That might be the guy.
Okay. TJ Finley, I guarantee you, is not an NFL quarterback.
I'll look it up.
All right. Foul from Jason Martinez. Foul from Ramon. Let's see. We've got fair from Chris.
TJ Finley is absolutely a quarterback, but he's not who I was talking about.
NFL quarterback, TJ Finley?
TJ Finley, 3 days ago, entered the transfer portal looking for another.
Okay. He went to Western Kentucky. You're talking about
Auburn quarterback Auburn is where I have that in my brain. Ryan Finley is the
NFL guy that played for the Bengals. Yes.
Yeah.
TJ, I was like, where are we going with TJ Finley?
Hey, somewhere in my brain, I watched a really bad Auburn quarterback play a few years ago.
Steven says it's fair, but Levis should be getting the exact same patience. So feels like we're pretty split in the chat. Is the YouTube poll results coming in at all?
Yeah, we've got some. It's it's still early, 1 minute old, and right now it's slightly above the fair line. 56% say fair. What are you going to say, Sam? What do you think? Fair or foul on this? Because there are layers to that, right?
Yeah, I'm going to say it's foul. Yeah, and not kind of for the same reason as some of the people in the chat, but different, same reason. I look at the quarterback situation in Tennessee versus in Cincinnati. And the reason that it is foul is because after year 1, Zach Taylor was in a position to go get the blue chipper. He was in a position to go get his guy in Joe Burrow, and it became abundantly clear Zach Taylor was now tied to Joe Burrow. It's easy for Mike Brown to be patient for a second year. Well, Joe Burrow tears his ACL in the second year, and you wait for year 3. It's easy for Mike Brown to be patient going into year 3 as well, because Zach Taylor never really got a chance to show what Joe Burrow could do. And rather than reset your second-year quarterback with a new system, you chose to stick it out with the head coach for 1 more year. I have a lot of respect for that patience, for sure. I think that's the right process in the NFL, but it was also abundantly clear that your second-year head coach was going to be tying himself to a new young quarterback. And that is where the waters get murky with Brian Callahan for me, because we don't know what the Titans quarterback situation is going to look like in 2025. We don't know if Will Levis is going to be the guy. That's where I lean right now, that it would still be Levis in 2025. But I don't think you get another year of 2025 with Will Levis at quarterback. And if you don't win games, you get another chance to reset with another young quarterback. I don't think you get that level of patience. And so because the future at the quarterback position and the direction of the franchise and Callahan tying himself to his guy is less obvious of a path, I don't think it's fair to sort of judge these seasons the same way, because I think the future is just not as clear. And I think in order to be patient as an owner, in order to be patient as a fan base, the clear direction of the franchise has to be very evident and obvious. And right now, I can't say that about the Titans the same way I can about Zach Taylor.
Yeah, because Joe Burrow obviously changed everything. But the Bengals
if the Titans were in a position, and like we'll see how the rest of the year goes, but like if they tank the next 4 games and then are sitting there with a pick where they can get Shedeur Sanders, I think it's a different story. I think you view these as the exact same. And I think you draft Shedeur Sanders probably. Like if you lose 4 games and are in a position to do that, I have a hard time seeing Brian Callahan not doing that. And so then I think you do have a level of, okay, well, here's the rookie, here's the guy, here is our coach's quarterback. These two are now tied together. And then if you don't win in 2025, you could always just be like, well, it was rookie Shedeur Sanders. Give us 1 more year, and then you have to go. But I think it's a weird spot with not winning games and not necessarily being in position to get the blue chip quarterback that you desire.
Yeah, no, I definitely hear you there. I do think it's interesting though, because year 1 for Brian Callahan, he has 9 games into his NFL life, Will Levis, where year 1, Zach Taylor, he had 9 seasons into his NFL career, Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
And so they had Andy Dalton, who was, by that point in his career, had gone to some Pro Bowls, right? He had a season where he threw 25 touchdowns to 7 picks. He had some solid things. He threw for
a very good quarterback,
right?
Had a very good career,
but not great. He had a good career for what Andy Dalton was, but they had a 1,000-yard rusher in Joe Mixon. They had a 1,000-yard receiver and Tyler Boyd, right? So the Bengals just didn't have anything else around. It was very barren. And I think where I'm actually going to answer the question with fair on this, I think it is fair to judge these 2 guys, because what the Bengals did with Zach Taylor and crew after year 1 is what created their expectations for the future. Now, Joe Burrow injuries aside and some of the other things they're dealing with this season is a little bit different. And Zach Taylor could be on the hot seat. Maybe not. Maybe he is. I don't know.
But here's the reason I don't put, I think the big difference for me, and I kind of thought of a better way to phrase it.
Okay.
It's not fair for me to lump Zach Taylor and Brian Callahan's year 1 into the same bucket, because I think the patience level in their year 2 is so different. Zach Taylor had the luxury of not needing to win in year 2 because he had rookie Joe Burrow that he could fall back on. And ACL injury aside, would have been like, but hey, look what we're doing with Joe. We're building Joe. And then year 3, it takes off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Brian Callahan does not have that luxury. Even if Amy Adams-Strunk wants to build something, wants to be patient with Brian Callahan, if he sticks with Will Levis in 2025, which right now I believe is the direction the organization is going, they have one option: make the playoffs. I believe that. I mean, you have to turn in a winner. You have to. Amy spent $200 million.
No, yeah. Look, I
think got another top 10 pick, and you've got $60 more million in cap space. And if you still fail 3 years of Rand Carthon being the GM, 2 years of Brian Callahan being the head coach to turn out a winning team that can compete, you're done.
Well, because here's what has to happen. Here's where I was going to go. Is what happened after the drafting of Joe Burrow. It wasn't just Joe Burrow. They hit on offensive skill players one after the other, because the second round pick after Joe Burrow was T. Higgins. Worked. The next year, Jamar Chase. Phenomenal. They continued to do that in the draft and had that core to build around with great quarterback prospect, 2 really stud wide receivers, Joe Mixon, a very capable running back, a third target in Tyler Boyd, who was a veteran at that point, who was a savvy type of guy, CJ Uzama, who was a homegrown talent at tight end. The offensive line was a piece of work. but they had a lot of good things there. And then what they did in free agency was every year they kept adding more and more mid-level and a couple high-level defensive free agents, and that's where it put together where they went on the Super Bowl run, and they followed that one up with 12-4 and lost in the AFC Championship game to the Chiefs again. So you had the back-to-back years of 22 combined wins in the regular season, and then they've had Joe Burrow injuries the year before, last year, and then where we are now. So I think it's fair if you're looking at year one Zach Taylor and year one Brian Callahan, because in a vacuum, those can look similar. But now the Titans got to hit on draft picks.
But that's also in a vacuum.
Yes,
like,
do
you disagree with what I said, that if it's Will Levis as the quarterback in 2025 and the Titans go 5-12 and they have another losing season, like, there's no chance that anybody's retained.
I think they could be retained. I think you switch to another example, and you've already mentioned it. That's Dan Campbell. Now, you said 5-12.
Dan Campbell won 7 in a row to end the year.
Yeah. 5-12.
I mean, sure, you go 9-8, whatever, and you win your last 7, and then you miss the playoffs by a tiebreaker, which is what happened with Dan Campbell that year.
I still think, Sam, like the mulligan that Brian Callahan has in his bag is I didn't draft. I wasn't a part of Will Levis being here.
I agree with that, but I don't think you can do that after I don't think you can burn it 2 years down the road.
Yeah, you can burn it after year 2.
Not if you're convincing your owner to spend $200 million in free agency.
They have to say they have to
because if you have a floor, you're Amy and you're smart. You go 2 years. Brian Callahan's been choosing Levis. If it doesn't work after 2025, and you're looking and you're in a spot to go get another quarterback, you don't let Brian Callahan draft the quarterback. You fire everyone, you reset, and now you pair your GM, head coach, and quarterback all at the same time. You hire a general manager who finds a head coach who drafts a quarterback, and you do it all together.
I don't hate that.
That would be the smartest thing for an owner to do. And so I get you can keep that in your bag, right? Maybe you can burn Levis and, stay alive if you're Brian Callahan. But I don't know if Amy will actually do that. And you don't have the idea of a number 1 overall pick at quarterback to keep.
There's more to it though, right? And Brad says this, Amy hyped up Callahan, right?
Amy hyped up Mike Vrabel a year before she fired him. So,
and John Robinson got a contract extension 9 months before he got fired. She's not afraid to move on from her previous hyped up decisions either. But I think the gray area between our two answers here is that, yes, Amy could decide at the end of next season, 2025, to clean it all out. Quarterback, GM, Brinker, head coach, everybody, and then rebuild it all together to go draft Arch Manning, right? In that 2026 draft. That could be an option. But if in the next 20 games, 21 regular season games, is Brian Callahan showing that he can do this, that Will Levis can't at a high enough level, that keep me here. Rand's drafting some good players. They're finding some good fits. Keep it going. All we're missing is the quarterback. I think that's the gray area between everything.
Sure. There's a possibility.
There's so many possibilities. And it
changes week to week is the crazy thing right now. Is I don't think I would have been in this sort of headspace.
No, do you remember what we were talking about last week?
Well, but and I know that might sound trivial to people, oh, you guys are whatever. One game means everything. You may have big picture conversations, but I think the only reason that the big picture conversation changes week to week is because I think week to week it might change with ownership a little bit. I think what we've seen from Amy up to this point is that she wants to win so badly, is one of the owners in the league that is most motivated to win. And that is a huge, huge, huge positive. But sometimes it also leads to a sense of urgency to win. And Amy can love her head coach all she wants. If her head coach comes in and goes 3-14, all of a sudden, like, it's hard to justify. It's hard to justify not making changes when you give a coaching staff and a front office $200 million to spend and a top 10 draft pick, and they get your team worse by 3 games. So,
all right. So there's some comments I'm going to get to. I'm going to update the YouTube poll where we're at fair or foul to judge Callahan and Zach Taylor's first year as head coach with their respective teams. But real quick, the Bone and Joint Institute's where you should turn, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever you get hurt in life, you know who you got to turn to. That is the folks in Franklin, the experts, the resources all under one roof right off of I-65 and Highway 96 next to Williamson Medical Center. Whenever you get hurt, like in football, you got to have somebody you can trust to get you back out there in life, and that's who I've turned to a couple times the last few years. Online to book an appointment, boneandjointtn.org.
Today's show powered by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up with BetMGM. Get up to $1,500 back into your account in the form of a bonus bet if your first bet misses. Whatever your first bet wager amount is, that goes back into your account if your bet loses. Like if you bet on Tennessee basketball, don't worry. They got your back. They're putting it back into your account. The sportsbook born in Vegas, ATOZ Sports is the bonus code with BetMGM.com.
Man, you're gonna make me look up that line. I don't know. It's a Thursday morning. I don't even know if it's out yet for Saturday college basketball lines. Don't exactly come out early. So updating the poll here, fair or foul to judge Zach Taylor and Brian Callahan's first season the same way. 55% of the votes are fair. So it's not crazy. It's not lopsided. It's pretty even. So I thought, 55% go with me. You're in the 45%. I think it's a pretty good argument back and forth. I don't disagree with a lot of points that you're making at all. Real quick, King VC says, lock in, like the show. So if you haven't liked the show yet, do that on Facebook and YouTube. I've also got American Toff saying, Austin, my point that I was making would only work if Callahan shows great progress in acting like a coach and in his play calling. Yeah, that's what I was saying is like, Brian Callahan in the next 21 regular season games has to legitimately prove that he is not the problem, that he can do this.
Yeah.
And if you're watching the film from the Jags game, like the missed plays were not Brian Callahan's fault. There were touchdowns open on the field that were missed by the quarterback, the right tackle, the left tackle, many different players that were making mistakes. And Brian Callahan looked in that instance like he can do this. Like he knows how to get people open, and he just can't hit the X button or the B button to make the quarterback throw where he needs to go.
Yeah, and I mean, I also think one thing not talked about this team enough, the lack of talent at skill positions, I think is a real thing here. I think they might have some of the worst weapons, if not the worst weapons in the NFL. And I don't think we talk about that enough. So
fair. Steven says too many holes on offense not to give Levis another year. I don't think the holes on the offense are what's giving Levis another year. I think it's other outside circumstances. I think it's the draft. I think it's the Titans positioning in the draft.
I think it's a combination of things.
Yeah.
I think the holes on the offense are definitely a contributor.
I think it's
I think the Titans have admittedly not surrounded Will with enough talent on the offensive line, at receiver, like I mentioned, and like his weapons. And I think they recognize that some of these offensive hiccups are not caused by Levis all the time. And therefore they would like to see what he can do with a little bit more. Not every quarterback gets that luxury. It is on the quarterback at the end of the day to elevate the guys around him. And the good ones do that. And I think that's the next challenge for Will, is being able to elevate the players around him instead of needing good players around him in order to play well. But I do think it's a hybrid of those holes where they draft, all kinds of different things that could potentially contribute to Levis getting another year.
Did you see the NPF false start from the Jags game that Easton brought up yesterday? I'm not sure if you saw this.
I've not.
All right, let's just take a glance at this. Watch, I'll set it up right here. Watch, this is the false start on NPF. Ridley Watch how angry Will Levis is in the end zone view here in a second. Watch his reaction after the play gets called dead. He knew he had something.
Yep.
Because watch it again. Watch Ridley coming in motion and watch who he's about to run by down the field on the left sideline.
Oh yeah.
That's an inside linebacker that he had.
I mean, that's a touchdown play. That's
what Easton and I talked about yesterday. I was like, damn it, there's our Calvin Ridley bets all in one. It's like that type of thing that Levis knew it. That's the pro Levis example of what Steven was saying. Back to the comments. Michael Kennedy says, Amy moves on from her mistakes is true. However, she has made way too many bad decisions that have cratered the team. I don't know. I mean, that's a complicated comment.
Yeah, I don't know if we're 45 minutes into that. I mean, I guess we're scrapping our second topic here.
We don't have to. We still have another live. We can get to it.
We're doing trivia after it.
Trivia is fast, man. We trivia takes like 3 minutes when we're good at it.
All right. I don't know. I would say that's a pretty big statement to make. I'm not sure Amy's decisions have necessarily cratered things. I mean, that is the mystery with this organization right now, is where the blame pie falls. I think there's a case for it to be on Amy. I think there's a case for it not to be on Amy. And there's a lot that goes into that.
Agree. All right, let's go ahead and get to our next topic then, because Brian Callahan was talking about who he thinks is the MVP of this NFL season.
There's a lot of things. One, I think he's so accurate. He very rarely misses a throw. The ball is almost always where he intends it to go. The other part of it is he's got such great command of the offense, of everything happening out there, knows exactly where his problems are, knows exactly how to solve them. You're not going to ever fool him. You're also not ever going to rattle him. He's probably one of the most steadfast quarterbacks in football in terms of nothing rattles him one way or the other. He's just really a fantastic quarterback. And then the last part of his game that he's really unlocked this year is on the move. He's made some incredible plays off structure, and him and Jamar are on the same page along with those guys in the offense. They're really, really good at reacting when he breaks, and they've created quite a bit of offense that way. And he's playing the position as good as you can play quarterback. I mean, it's really fun to watch as a fan of quarterback play, and he's everything you look for in what you're expecting a great quarterback to look like. He looks like it.
Eric, Callahan misses Joe Burrow is what he says right there. It definitely feels like he's an easy one to miss.
Yeah. I mean, who wouldn't, right? Like, Joe Burrow's the type of quarterback that makes a coach's life very easy. He knows where to go with the ball. He's very accurate. The ball always goes where he wants it to go. Those characteristics that he just listed, when you have an MVP contender at quarterback, who wouldn't miss that for sure?
Who is the MVP right now in the NFL? If you were voting today, who would you vote for? Let's do that.
Go in the chat and let us know. I have my answer.
Yeah, okay. I'm curious because I honestly have not. I have a coin flip basically of where I think I'm going to go. Farm Bureau Health Plans. No need for a coin flip there. Go to Farm Bureau Health Plans, fbhp.com/ATOZ, and they can help you out with your health coverage to get yourself in a better situation, whether it's financially or the rates or the coverage that you're actually getting. If you need dental coverage so you don't have to pay out of pocket, you go to the dentist a couple times a year. That's very important. You only get one set of teeth. You got to take care of them. Or vision. Maybe you don't need it, so don't pay for it. Whatever it might be, Farm Bureau Health Plans has you covered like they've been doing for Tennesseans for 78 years. Book a way to get, go to fbhp.com/ATOZ to fill out a health assessment and find a way to get a quote for you today. Farm Bureau Health Plans, fbhp.com/ATOZ.
BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. If you have a conviction about the NFL MVP odds, maybe go to BetMGM, place a futures bet on who's going to win the award, and use the bonus code ATOZ Sports when you do it. Get up to $1,500 back in the form of a bonus bet. With that bonus code, whatever your first bet wager amount is, it goes back into your account if your first bet loses. BetMGM.com, the sportsbook born in Vegas.
All right, who's the MVP right now? I mean, Brian Callahan says Joe Burrow's playing like an MVP. It's hard to give the MVP to the quarterback on the team that is 5-8. That is the worst team in the AFC that is not eliminated from the playoffs. It's crazy. There are already 6 teams in the AFC alone eliminated from the playoffs at this point in the season. The Bengals are sitting here in the 10th spot. So, Sam, you want to go to the chat first, so you can give your answer on who you think is the MVP
the chat.
right now?
The chat. I see a lot of Josh Allen. I see a lot of Saquon Barkley. I see a lot of Lamar Jackson. Those seem to be the 3 answers that the chat is wrestling with. I am in agreement with the chat. The MVP of the league is Josh Allen. He is the one quarterback. Joe Burrow, 3,700 yards, 33-6. Josh Allen is at just over 3,000 yards with 23-5. But then, of course, the rushing output of Josh Allen as well. They have 9 rushing touchdowns. He's done the one thing that he needs to do, which is take care of the football and not turn the football over while creating those explosives. He has the Bills right at the top of the AFC sitting at 10-3, and he's doing it without weapons. Khalil Shakir is his number 1 wide receiver. He's got old Amari Cooper. Everybody made a big deal about losing Stephon Diggs in the offseason and, what it would mean for Josh Allen. And he has doubled and tripled down on this idea that he is the reason that the Buffalo Bills go. So when I look at that team, that is the number 1 team in the league that I look at and say, he's far and away the best player. He far and away carries them offensively, and he's got them sitting in one of the best spots in the league right now. Josh Allen is absolutely the most valuable player. Where is that Bills team without Josh Allen? Scary to think about for me. I don't think, legitimately replace him with an average quarterback, and that could be a bad team. And they're sitting at 10-3 because he has the ability to take over every single game he plays.
Who is like, if you think average quarterback this year, who is that?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Because we've talked about this before. There's like no.
I mean, so what happens if we put like this year's Russell Wilson on the Bills instead of Josh Allen?
Russ ain't playing bad.
I didn't say he was playing bad.
No, I know.
They're like 5-8. Like,
yeah. I mean, yeah.
So, I mean,
yeah.
That's the guy that I look at. I'd say if there was a second, Burrow's had a great year, but I'm with you. It's hard for me to get on board. As great as he's been offensively, and as much as some of this has not been his fault, boo. That man, not Sam Darnold. That is an example of a guy who's not carrying his offense and is being carried by his offense.
No. That's what I was talking about.
No, yeah.
If Sam Darnold's on the Bills, what happens?
Oh, yeah. 6-8, 6-7, maybe worse, right? Yeah, like maybe worse.
I think this is an interesting answer.
I agree. No, I think Jalen Hurts is a product of his environment in Philadelphia as well. Lamar would be the other guy that I accept that answer. Lamar's doing the only reason that I would give Josh Allen the nudge over Lamar are, well, really 2 reasons. Number 1, the Bills are better than the Ravens by 2 games. The Ravens are maybe not even going to win their division, and the Bills are dominating their division.
They won
it. Yeah, well, they've won it, and they're sitting at 10-3, and they could easily finish at 14-3. The Ravens are going to make the playoffs, but are probably going to be sitting in that like 6 seed range of the playoffs, 5-6 seed. The other thing for me is just going to be surrounding cast. And I do think Lamar's supporting cast is better than what Josh Allen has been given in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And so it's a consistently better offense in just about every way. And Josh Allen's making it work with less. So
I think Josh Allen should be a unanimous MVP if he finishes the season the same way that the 13 games have gone.
Yeah.
There's no other person who should take a vote away from Josh Allen.
I agree. I think, if somebody voted for Lamar, I would not be upset about it. But
I would guess that person would work at the Baltimore Sun.
Yeah, probably. But this is like Jared Goff. Jared Goff's having a great year.
Yeah, but
Josh Allen breaks passing records if he's given that offense.
Yes.
Josh Allen in it with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta and The run game that David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs provide, like that's an unstoppable crew if they've got Josh Allen. Jared Goff is very fortunate to have one of the best offensive coordinators, best offensive lines, best running games, and good weapons around him.
I think Curtis says Lamar has better passing percentage, more rushing yards. The only thing Josh has is rushing touchdowns over Lamar. Yeah, but Curtis, here's the point that I think Sam and I are both making. Going into the season, Ravens, Super Bowl contender, no doubt. Add Derrick Henry. You've got Lamar. You've got that defense. Absolutely, the Ravens are a Super Bowl contender. Before the year, the Bills going to miss the playoffs. They lost everybody. They had to cut the whole defense for salary cap things. They have nobody to throw to. They're relying on Keon Coleman all the time. That's the difference. And what's the record? 10-3 and 8-5.
We're also pinching pennies a little bit over let me do the math real quick. 256 passing yards is like what we think is going to be the difference here, and 2% in completion rate, which I think a lot of that is probably because let's look at the air yards that Josh Allen throws for versus what Lamar throws for. I bet you Josh Allen's air yards are way up, and is so it probably hurts his completion percentage a little bit more. Also, like supporting cast, I'm not a big numbers guy from that aspect. And
why'd you say it like that?
Well, because I do think I like stats as much as the next guy. I think they tell a story for sure, but there is also an element of situation that cannot really be ignored.
Hey, and Curtis says that makes sense.
Yeah,
so we flipped Curtis on that one.
So I mean, but that is what the MVP award should be about for me. Sometimes it would be, best quarterback on the best team. They won a lot of games, whatever. But I think let's figure in who is doing the most for their organization and who is really elevating those around him the most. And Lamar's doing a great job of it, but I think he's the second best at it this year.
If I were going to give an award to Joe Burrow, it is Popeye's Worker Meme of the Year winner. That is Joe Burrow.
Oh, on an island being
just sitting on the bench, just God, that is Joe Burrow.
Yeah. Fair.
All right. Are you ready for some trivia?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, time for some trivia, some bonus trivia.
I'm not going to pull up trivia.
Okay, you got some time. Time. Hyundai, make them a part of your new car buying process. Find them in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. They'll help you save some money on that new ride. It is trivia time now. Sam, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Let's hit it. All right. Easton and I sucked out loud. It was challenging. It was a higher level of difficulty according to the percentages that we saw after we failed. I want to say we missed 4 questions and then got a double dip.
Okay.
So, all right, what we've been doing is we start with the NFL and then we go down to books, TV, and just go around the outside and finish with celebrity mashup.
Okay. All right, let's do that. Are we ready?
Yeah, let's go. No Major League Baseball. How about that?
For being a co-founder of Home Depot, Arthur Blank is the owner of what NFC team?
See, this is a freaking Falcons. No,
the NFL ones are always easy.
Not yesterday.
Author Anne Rice was known for writing the Vampire Chronicles series, the first of which was adapted into this 1994 film starring Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, and Antonio Banderas. I don't know this one. And look, of course, it's no MLB when I'm on here. Chat, help. I don't know this.
Interview with a Vampire?
That sounds right.
I've not seen that vampire film.
Interview with the Vampire. Okay, there we go. Good job, chat. Set in the office of a fictional fashion magazine called Blush, Laura San Giacomo, George Segal, and David Spade starred in this NBC sitcom from 1997 to 2003. No idea. Not a sitcom guy. Definitely not a 1997 sitcom guy.
Ooh.
These are not my strengths thus far.
Did you click it out?
No, I just exited an ad. Newsroom. I know that's a show, right? No, maybe not.
Newsroom is not Newsroom.
Well, read it again. It's on the screen.
No, it went off of our screen for a second.
Oh, Set in the office of a fictional fashion magazine called Blush, Laura San Giacomo, George Segal,
Shoot
and
me?
David Spade starred in this NBC sitcom.
Just shoot me.
Okay. Good work. All right, there we go.
Never heard of that at all.
The first installment of the Star Wars anthology series and an immediate prequel to the original 1977 Star Wars. Felicity Jones and Diego Luna starred in this 2016 Star Wars movie. I think this is Rogue One.
I'm just thinking just shoot me when it comes to this trivia.
Yeah, I mean, this is like brutal.
After the Falcons.
I think this is Rogue One, though. If I'm reading this right, the immediate prequel should be Rogue One. I'm gonna try it. Bang. Okay. All right. Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. That is All Star by Smash Mouth.
Yep.
While a wolf character is its current mascot, the sugary and chocolatey cereal brand has had past mascots such as a crook and a cop and a dog. This is Cookie Crisp.
Really?
Cookie Crisp. Yeah,
I didn't know that was a wolf. I thought it was a.
In between his tenures with the Nets and Bucks, Brooke Lopez spent a single season with this Western Conference team in 17-18. I think this is the Lakers.
Yeah, Brooke.
Brooke went to the Lakers for 1 year.
Yeah.
So did Robin, but Brooke was there first.
Okay.
A 4-year starter from 17 to 20, this Texas A&M QB was a dual threat with 93 total touchdowns. Kellen Mond.
Bingo.
All right. And the celebrity mashup. Oh, gosh. Okay.
Oh,
it's Jeff Daniels.
Jeff Daniels.
Yeah. Is
Who's
that
the inside? It kind of looks like a real person.
Yeah, that's not a bad one. Liev Schreiber?
Ooh, the eyes.
Yeah, that's where I'm. But like the only thing that throws me off is the facial hair because I feel like he has.
Who's the Better Call Saul lawyer?
Huh?
Better Call Saul lawyer?
No, that guy. That would be his hair, not his.
Okay, yeah, and it's not Conan, guys. That's Jeff Daniels.
It's Jeff Daniels on the outside. I think Liev Schreiber might be the inside.
Man,
Bob Odenkirk is the name of the guy, Darius says, but I don't think this is. I feel better about Jeff Daniels.
It's absolutely Jeff
darker
Daniels.
hair. I mean, I'll put that in.
That's 100%.
Odenkirk has darker hair.
I think it's Schreiber. Yeah, I think it's.
The facial hair throws me off. It's a little lighter than I would have put on Liev, but.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go.
All right. That one was scroll down to the let's see our percentages on this and what the rest of the country's doing. Scroll down.
I didn't know you could do this.
Yeah. See, this is way easier than what yesterday's was. Scroll up a hair because you can see the average score and the amount of perfect ones. This one was way better. There was a couple tough ones, like the television one was tough for sure, but we had multiple.
Yesterday, the book and TV I found very difficult.
I think the NFL question was under 20% yesterday.
Huh.
And it was the answer, the question, see if you can get it without using the chat's help.
Okay.
Indianapolis Colts tight end from 2013 to 2021 who made 2 Pro Bowls.
Jack Doyle.
Damn it. Okay.
Yeah, come on now.
we said Kobe Fleener. It's not a bad guess.
No, Jack, come on. Don't disrespect Jack Doyle.
It wasn't a disrespect. There's no disrespect. It's just a miss.
Yeah.
Hey, where did Jack Doyle start his NFL career before getting cut?
Say it ain't so.
Oh, buddy. It is the Tennessee Titans.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Free UDFA out of Western Kentucky was here in training camp and did not make the team. Then continued to run actual circle routes around Titans linebackers for the rest of his career. So
I did not know that was.
Oh yeah. Without a doubt. All right. That is it for us here on this Thursday. We'll probably talk some more Illinois, Tennessee basketball trash tomorrow, the day before that game. And we've got good news. We've got some big good news tomorrow. Some big good news tomorrow.
Wow. Okay.
Probably my biggest good news of the year to this date. So
wow,
we'll drop some big good.
You're hyping up
big good news tomorrow. So get ready for that. Make sure you hit the like button on the show, like the show, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow. Buck Rising is live tonight for A to Z Sports Primetime at 7. Sam and Easton heading out to the Titans facility shortly for more coverage there. Check us out on social there. We'll talk to you later. Appreciate it as always.